Here in Hinton Heights, above the village of Clanfield in heart of Hampshire, we have the home of the Hampshire Astronomical Group, the Clanfield Observatory. It's from here that we observe stars, galaxies, comets, nebula, meteors and other astronomical phenomena where we will discover and observe them, and that's given us national and international recognition.
It was in the autumn of 1960 that Ray Bootland, a GPO telephone maintenance engineer, and a number of like-minded people founded the Hampshire Astronomical Group, or as it was called then, the Portsmouth Astronomical Group. Meetings were initially held at the Mile End Community Centre in Portsmouth until the group moved to a new observatory location at Crookhorn in the spring of 1961. After a few years, the Society was informed that the site was to be sold for housing development, and so were forced to relocate. A new site was found situated on farmland close to Fort Nelson on Portsdown Hill. This was an old World War II gun emplacement that was in need of major renovation. A number of motivated and enthusiastic members carried out the work, setting a precedent which survives to this day, as nearly all the work required by the group is carried out by its membership. By the early 1970s, it became apparent that once again, a new site would be needed for the group's growing telescope facility. The growing problem of light pollution from nearby Fareham and the new M27 motorway development was also a major factor in this decision. Successful negotiations commenced with the Portsmouth Water Company to use their Clanfield site reservoir. Work began over the Easter holidays of 1972 on the foundations of the dome that was to eventually house the then proposed 20-inch telescope. Sir Patrick Moore officially opened the completed dome and telescope on the 4th of November 1978, following 6 years of very hard work.
Well, as you can see, this is the third observatory that we've had. We took possession of the site here in 1972 when we constructed the 20-inch telescope. Since then, that telescope has developed into a 24-inch telescope. And additionally, we've got another 4 domes. That gives us 5 domes in total here at this site, making this site probably one of the best amateur-equipped observatories in the UK.
Here at Clanfield Observatory we have 5 domes housing a range of telescopes varying from a 4.5-inch refractor right up to a 24-inch reflector. Welcome to the dome which houses our oldest telescopes on site. The larger one of the two is a 5-inch refractor built by a famous telescope making company called Thomas Cook & Sons in about 1890. The mount is also an original Thomas Cook mount, which was originally clockwork driven, and you can see the governor spinning there, but we've now converted it to electrical power. The smaller of the 2 telescopes is a 4.5-inch refractor, which was originally built by a company called Smith, Beck & Beck in about 1850 to 1860. The 2 telescopes are still in excellent working condition and are mainly used on our open evenings for observing the moon, and we put a high power eyepiece in one of the telescopes and a lower power eyepiece in the other so that the members of the public who come along can see small details on the moon as well as the whole moon itself. The dome is also quite old because it was originally made also by the Thomas Cook Company and was originally at the Royal Observatory at Hurst-Monceau and originally held their solar telescope. When it became redundant to them, it was moved here and we managed to acquire it for the princely sum of £25. As well as our 5-inch refractor, we also have a much more modern 7-inch refractor, which is ideal for observing the planets and the brighter deep sky objects. We also have 12-inch and 16-inch reflectors, which are ideal for photographing the much more fainter deep sky objects. This is our newest and largest telescope at the observatory. It's called the David Harris Telescope, named after one of our members without whose considerable support we would never have been able to buy anything so magnificent. It is a research grade telescope with a 24-inch, that's 60 centimetre main mirror, and it's the same optical design as the Hubble Space Telescope, 1/4 the size. It is equipped at the moment with a specialist astro camera to enable us to take high resolution photographs of our target, and the camera has fitted into it a filter wheel which contains different coloured filters to enable us to analyse the light and determine things like the temperature of the object and different brightnesses under different conditions. The telescope is mounted on what we call an equatorial mount, which enables us to track the stars as they move across the sky due to the Earth's rotation, and the dome is also linked into the telescope so that as the telescope moves, the dome will follow it automatically. Everything is designed to be computer controlled, so all the cables from the telescope and the mount run under the floor to a control desk which we have over here, which has a laptop in, which has all the facilities required to operate the whole telescope.
Well, I first got interested in astronomy when I was given this book by Patrick Moore as a 13-year-old lad. And this was my inspiration that got me interested in astronomy to start off with. Having left the Navy, one of my friends through my children was Steve Knight, and Steve Knight was the membership secretary for the group. And my son mentioned to him that I was interested in astronomy, and Steve said, well, you know, maybe you should come and join the group. So I got the information from Steve, filled out the online application form, and about 6 or 8 months later I was accepted into the group, and I've never really looked back since then. The group has a fantastic set of equipment, telescopes, a very nice clubhouse. The equipment we've got is probably the best in the south of England for the group, and I think the equipment that we've got probably puts us either the best in the south of England, possibly the best in the UK. And if you'd like to wind the handle now and open the shutter, that's fine.
We have got dedicated trainers for each of the telescopes and domes, and they will go through in minute details, and they will show the pitfalls so that each of the member, whoever wants to use a telescope later, will know how to use it and there will be no mishaps. And after the member is then quite confident and being able to, or thinks he's confident using the telescope, he will be assessed by a dedicated person who will then do the assessment separately from the trainer.
If you want to take the RA off, and I'll release the deck, and what we're going to do is we're going to swing the telescope around. When I first joined the group, it was emphasised that perhaps we should give a little bit back to the group, and initially I started by just helping out in the telescopes on the open evenings and ferrying people around, doing the car parking. But since I've been a member, I've become more involved, and now I'm a member of the committee, and I also do the training for one of the telescopes, the 7-inch. And the training is very important because the equipment that we've got here, some of the telescopes are very expensive, some of them are very old and are irreplaceable. So to make sure that the equipment is well used and well treated, we have a series of training on each telescope to make sure that the other members are fully trained and are confident in using this equipment.
Hampshire Astronomical Group has a commitment to outreach, and this can be going out to schools and organisations giving talks and also having groups coming to the observatory. We tend to get two lots of groups, young people, which are schools, uniform groups like Scouts, Guides and Beavers, and miscellaneous groups of adults, which can be the Rotary Club, Women's Institute, University of the Third Age, or particular local groups even that come along. With the children's groups, we very much tailor that to what the brief is. So if it's a uniform group like Guides, Scouts, Beavers, they're normally coming along to do a badge, and we will tailor the visit for that badge. And the groups are very interested in what we're able to show them. Many people didn't even know the observatory was here. So they're fascinated to come up, and we will take the opportunity to show them the domes, give them a chance to look at something interesting, like the moon or a planet or a deep sky object, and then they come into the clubhouse and have a short talk.
Here at the Hampshire Astronomical Group, we put great importance on education, and one of the ways in which we do that is we take part in the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme. This is composed of bronze, silver and gold levels of the award in science and technology. The bronze, the silver, those are directed learning. The bronze is an introduction and overview, and then this is enlarged and extended in the silver award. But for the gold award, we allow the students complete freedom of subject, and they produce a project on their particular chosen subject, and they also give us a short talk. We've had many bronze and silver students who have done extremely well and have said they enjoyed what they've done, because this is voluntary, and we've also had 2 excellent gold students who really worked hard on their projects.
Vera Rubin, who discovered dark matter, should have been given a Nobel Prize.
Well, at the observatory we do run an Astronomy for Beginners course. The course is aimed at absolute beginners, people who know absolutely nothing about astronomy, and we will take them from things like the order of the planets, what sort of planets are made of, right out to black holes and the fate of the universe. The astronomy course is ideal for adults. It was originally an adult education course, although we've had some teenagers as well. The course tends to be made up of people who are wanting to look at astronomy. They've had that interest for many, many years and often come into retirement, or some people wanting to have an extra interest in their life join the course. And we have a mixture of men and women, sometimes 50-50 in the course, so that is really quite nice to get that mix. When we're on the course, we have a lot of talk material, and if it's clear, what we try to do is to get out to the observatories and observe objects in the night sky, which is supplementing what it is we're actually teaching. The course lasts 20 weeks, and we start in the autumn and we finish around the March of the following year. One of the things that's often said to me at the end is, what are people going to do with their evenings now? Because we've got used to coming along to the observatory, and it's very, very fulfilling for those people, and they often want to go on and do more astronomy, and many people join the group as a consequence.
As part of the ongoing educational and outreach programme hosted by Hampshire Astronomical Group, we have a series of 10 monthly talks held in Clanfield Memorial Hall. The talks range from a visit from a member of another local astronomical society, a prominent amateur astronomer, but the majority of them are professional astronomers, ranging from very distinguished speakers such as Professor Dame Jocelyn Bell Burnell, to people coming to us from the Natural History Museum. We advertise these on our website, Facebook pages, Astronomical Press and Local Press. As a result, we're now seeing about 80 to 90 people attending every talk. About 30% of those would be non-members, so just interested members of the public.
One of the interesting aspects of the work that we do here at the Clanfield Observatory is the collaboration we have with the University of Portsmouth. That dates back to 1990, when Professor Matravers was appointed staff at the University of Portsmouth. He made contact with the observatory and asked whether or not we could assist in any of the projects that students might want to do in terms of astronomy as part of their mathematics degree. We agreed, and we had a number of students, not very many in the early days, coming along to the observatory, and we would support those students. As we moved into the 2000s, so that became a lot more formal. And Dr. Michael McCabe, one of the lecturers at the university, made contact with us, and he would bring up groups of students on about 6 occasions during the academic year to look at the observatory, look at some of the work that we're doing, and offer the opportunity of those students to perhaps pick up an astronomical project, which they would need to complete to finish their mathematics BSc course. So we've got a number of students who have completed some really very interesting and quite varied projects. Those projects vary from looking at the sun and the magnetic fields that you get around the sun. The sun is very magnetic, and so that was a very interesting project, and this was done during the daytime. Many of the projects are completed at night. And other projects that we've had is looking at exoplanets. Now, these are planets that are moving around distant stars, and as they move in front of the star, the light level drops from that star, as you can see on this example here, where the light is just dripping down and then it pops back up again, and that's the end of the eclipse. So we measure that. So that's a project that students can do. Other projects that students have been involved with is looking at the brightness variation of various stars, and also looking at stars that explode in distant galaxies, like the galaxy behind me here. And on those occasions, those students have looked at the light curve and how it drops, and the different elements are being seen to be decaying in that explosion in that distant galaxy. At the end of the day, they all have to write up their project, and so this is the sort of end result you'll see, and they submit this for their BSc degree. Of course, at the end of the day, they all graduate, and fortunately all of our students have graduated, and so we join them in their graduation ceremonies, and we have a nice opportunity to celebrate with them the work that they've done both at the university and the hard work they've done at the Clanfield Observatory.
Here at Clanfield, we have a number of cameras on the outside of this building, 2 of them pointing to the north and 1 to the southeast. They're there to capture meteors. They detect any movement in the sky, but obviously that doesn't only include meteors. It includes aeroplanes and birds and bats and thunderstorms, and you name it, we'll catch it if there is any flash or any movement in the field of view of that camera. So those clips are captured by some specialist software which we've got on this screen here. On the screen at the moment we've got that regular flashing, that's an aeroplane, but that's not really what we're looking for. What we're looking for are little sort of straight lines like this, which is a very faint meteor, and that's really all that the capture software does. Now on this screen we've got some different software, it's part of the same suite of programs, but this actually does the analysis of the data that we capture. And what you see on here is a red line through the meteor. That tells us the optimum path that the software has determined for that meteor. It can also work out the velocity, and that then gives us some numbers that we can actually work with. But that only defines a plane in space. The meteor could be travelling towards you, away from you, or directly at right angles to you. You cannot tell as an individual station, which is why we belong to 2 networks in the UK, UKMON and Nematode are their names, and there are probably 100 cameras, maybe 50, 60 individual stations across the UK, all sharing data. And by sharing that data, we can actually bring together those sets of observations of the same meteor, and we can triangulate the precise path of the meteors.
Part of the facility we have here at Clanfield is, as you can see, a well-equipped workshop. In this workshop we have all the tools and equipment we think we need to maintain all the equipment we have. We need people to operate that equipment. We're very fortunate, we are a big club and we've got a whole variety of skills within that club, and fortunately again we've got a whole army of volunteers that are willing to use those skills to help us maintain the equipment. The 3 aspects really to the maintenance. Firstly, we have a team for each of the domes that go into the domes once a month and carry out what I call routine preventative maintenance. The oiling, the greasing of the equipment, keeping it clean, keeping it in tip-top condition for the use of our members. Secondly, we have a fault reporting system. Anybody that uses the equipment in the club room or the telescopes that finds a fault can submit that fault through the website, and it finds its way to me and other members of the maintenance team. Our aim is to look at those faults, try and rectify those faults as soon as possible. The third aspect of maintenance is what I call project work. Work that requires a little bit more effort, a little bit more time. This type of project work we tend to leave to the spring and summer, so that firstly we don't disrupt the observational use of the telescopes, because obviously they're lighter nights, and secondly it's a lot warmer. Again, we seek volunteers amongst our membership to come in to the site here and do that type of project work, and it could be from anything from maintaining the car park, maintaining the domes, maintaining some of the telescopes. The maintenance function is always about trying to maintain the maximum availability of the equipment we have here for the membership.
Well, you've seen behind the scenes at the Clanfield Observatory, you've seen the equipment that we've got, you've seen the projects that we get up to, and you've seen the outreach we do with the community. We try to keep at the forefront of amateur astronomy in the UK with the equipment and the observatory here. And we hope that you will pay us a visit at some time in the future so we can share that with you and share the night sky with you.